The 2016 presidential election is already one of the most talked about presidential elections in recent memory, and the real fun hasn't even commenced. Donald Trump, the mastermind behind wildly successful business ventures such as Trump Steaks and Trump Airlines, will be running on behalf of the Republicans, and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton is their presumptive Democratic nominee. Although both candidates have a large number of supporters,
other women love Donald Trump, they want to be with him.
They may be more disliked than they are liked. Although she has over a decade of political experience, Hillary Clinton is disliked by members of both her own and the opposing party due to controversy surrounding both the 2012 attack on Benghazi as well as a large amount of emails reportedly deleted by Clinton. Hillary is also the first female nominee for either of the major parties in the country's history, and we unfortunately live in a society where a person's gender affects a voter's opinion on that candidate. Trump, plagued by his lack of political experience and overall controversial road to the Republican nomination,
I don't know what I said, I don't remember,
is disliked not only by Democrats but by many Republicans as well, leading many to believe that the Republican Party is discussing a third-party alternative. Trump himself addressed the idea of a third-party candidate, tweeting,
"The Republican Party has to be smart and strong if it wants to win in November. Can't allow lightweights to set up spoilers, indie candidate. Loser."
Whoa. Thanks, Donald. This is the first time in decades that a formidable third-party candidate may be in the running, as voters may vote for an independent candidate rather than choosing between the lesser of two evils. This raises the question, could a third-party candidate actually win the election? It hasn't been done before, but it almost happened in 1912. Theodore Roosevelt, known for busting trusts and looking like Nick Offerman, became president in 1901 after William McKinley was shot at the Pan American Exposition in Buffalo, New York. Teddy went on to win the 1904 presidential election before endorsing his protege, Secretary of War William Howard Taft, to run on behalf of the Republicans in 1908. Taft won the election and Roosevelt left the country to go on an African safari. Roosevelt eventually returned to the States and decided that he wanted to run for president again. There was only one problem. The Republicans were happy with Taft as the leader of their party. Rather than not run for president at all, Roosevelt did something even more badass than going on an African safari. He made his own political party. Roosevelt created the Progressive Party, also known as the Bull Moose Party, after Teddy referred to himself as a bull moose after giving a speech just minutes after he was shot. As the name would suggest, the Progressive Party was much more progressive than the party it had split from, as the Progressive platform called for direct election of U.S. senators, women's suffrage, and many social reforms. By the time the 1912 presidential election rolled around, Roosevelt had not only split the Republican Party, he had split Republican voters as well. Although Roosevelt was representing the Bull Moose Party, he was targeting Republican voters, the same voters William Howard Taft was targeting. This ultimately split the Republican vote, allowing Democrat Woodrow Wilson to win the election. Then he tried to make the League of Nations. That's another America's Corner for another time. Although Roosevelt did not win the election, he proved that third-party candidates can run successful campaigns. Teddy received 25% of the popular vote and secured 88 electoral votes, 80 more than his Republican counterpart. This would be Roosevelt's last hurrah in politics, and the parties reunited a couple of years later. Now, with this being said, this raises the question, does a third-party candidate actually have a chance in the current political landscape? The answer is possibly. But that's another America's Corner for another time. I'm Kyle, this is The Green.